Hello, guys. It's been a while since we've had any rules, stories, and a lot of you asked for them. So today I brought a couple. Let's begin. Get comfortable. Enjoy. Story 1. I was in a car accident 4 years ago. My sister was driving. I blacked out the moment an oak branch shattered through the windshield. When I woke up, I was in a hospital bed, broken, wrapped in a web of tubes, hooked up to machines. I was dead for 16 minutes. That crash killed me. Now I live with a traumatic brain injury. Anyone who's been through that, or has loved someone who has, knows recovery is its own private circle of hell. The first few days after waking up, I was in a fugue state. I can write just fine. Words come easily when I type. But when I try to speak, they vanish. The last time I tried explaining this to a doctor, I spent 30 seconds searching for a word and finally blurted out. My tongue is blind. The word I was looking for was speak. But I remember dying. I remember what it felt like. I've spent countless hours reading about near-death experiences. I've participated in studies. Filled out surveys. I know the literature. Death isn't a switch that flips. It's a process. The body drifts too far to come back, until sometimes, it doesn't. Medicine keeps pushing that boundary. But fewer people know about Lazarus syndrome, when someone suddenly returns after being declared dead. The record belongs to a woman who was clinically dead for 17 hours. No brain activity. Rigor mortis had begun. She came back after life support was withdrawn. How dead is dead enough? Scientists say near-death experiences are nothing more than the brain firing chaotically, a final chemical storm before suffocation. I'm not convinced. Thinking about it gives me migraines. My memories are crystal clear, but trying to explain them is like asking a sparrow to describe a supernova. So instead of explaining everything, I'll give you something else. If you ever find yourself where I was, here are 10 rules that might help you survive your Lazarus moment. This is the only way I know how to tell it. Rule 1. As you die, you will feel overwhelming peace. It's natural. Fear is born in the body. When your heart stops and oxygen fades, the chemistry of fear shuts down. You must fight that peace like your life depends on it. Force yourself to be afraid. It may be the only thing anchoring your soul to the living world. Rule 2. Your memories will begin dissolving. When you look toward what I can only call the other side, you'll feel like a newborn drifting through dense static. If you manage to spark fear, hold on to fragments of memory. The strongest memories are the ones soaked in terror. Grab something traumatic. Cling to it. Drag it with you through the dark. Rule 3. The other side is utterly disjointed. There is no unified space. Imagine 2 cars pressed bumper to bumper, but you know they can never touch. Everything is separated. Fragmented. Psychedelic shards like broken glass. You don't have a body anymore, so you won't know when you're too close. Distance doesn't exist. Focus on the pain in your physical body. Use it to stay grounded. Rule 4. You will see others. Or what looks like others. They drift from the environment and melt back into it. They seem to exist at the edge of your vision, except you no longer have peripheral vision. You see everything. And nothing. You must remember, you are not them. Their thoughts will flood you. Their memories will masquerade as yours. Hold on to your pain. Hold on to your fear. Rule 5. The light. You've heard of it. It doesn't look like anything. It feels like it's about to pierce what remains of your brain and tear you apart. You cannot choose to approach it or flee. It is a ticking bomb that will lock you there forever. The only thing you can do is use it as a measure, how far you've drifted. Do not let it feel comforting. If you focus on pain, you'll realize it burns like acid. Like electrical fire. Use that pain to drown out the thoughts trying to convince you that you are no longer yourself. Rule 6. Your arm is broken. If you can still think, imagine how badly it should hurt. As you drift further away, the pain fades. Do not let yourself calm down. Stay terrified. Force the pain back into your awareness. Remember what a hand is. Because there is another hand there. A massive one. And you must recognize it before it takes you. Rule 7. Your brain is shutting down. Nothing will ever make sense there. You will never orient yourself. But if you have no other choice, you can use the memories of others. They are fragments of the living world, but they are tangled, shifting. Like small words in a monstrous sentence stretched across the universe. At some point, I thought I understood what I was seeing. Because I had absorbed too many foreign memories. What I saw was the shadow of something vast. Rule 8. At some point, you may see your own body. I remember looking down at mine. The car was gone. My sister was gone. There was only the color spectrum chaos of the other side and the burning light. You may see people in white rushing toward your body. If you're lucky, when they try to pull you back, you'll feel pain. Use it. Remember. You are not the others. Rule 9. None of this guarantees survival. This is only about buying time. If you can hold yourself together, half dead, fragmented, drowning in amnesia, long enough. If your fear is strong enough, someone might find you. Unlike all the others, this someone will appear sharp. Defined. As if you can truly see them. They won't fade into the chaos. They won't dissolve into color and static. You'll see their face. Their clothes. The exact way they stand. And afterward, you won't remember any of it. There will only be a hole in your mind, shaped like them. In the end, it all comes down to this: can you, while being sliced apart by color from every direction, burned from the inside by the light, and barely holding on to fear, remain whole enough to say one word? Yes. You probably won't hear the offer. You won't understand it. You just need to say yes. Rule 10. Eventually, you will surrender. The moment you say yes to that person, you have done everything you can. My memory after that is fragmented. I remember seeing the arm attached to that enormous hand. It was woven from millions of people. I remember seeing that the arm connected to a colossal shadow. I remember seeing my body. And this time, unlike before, I could see my sister beside it. That's when I saw the hand again. And then I remember nothing at all. Until I woke up in a hospital bed. The doctors told me I was dead when they found me. They were about to begin resuscitation when I suddenly came back. I don't remember that. I can't answer what happened. Or why. Or what I truly saw. Except for one thing. I know I didn't see my sister when I looked at my body the first time. And I know I saw her the second time. I later spoke with one of the paramedics who helped revive me. He told me, almost casually, a strange story, something eerie but probably unrelated. My sister died at roughly the same moment I came back. Like Lazarus. Commentary on Story 1. This one is solid. This is a good rules story. You can feel actual literary skill here. It reads like it was written by an adult. The contrast is massive. Earlier, I recorded another story, 2 parts, also about strange rules found on Reddit, and it was absolute chaos. Completely nonsensical. I nearly exploded while recording my commentary on that one. But this works. When I was reading those rules, I was visualizing everything. I've heard bits and pieces about near-death experiences, the brain firing wildly, a final endless trip before death. This guy described it in a way that felt immersive. And that ending, the sister dying exactly when he returned? That's interesting. Maybe the massive hand represented her soul giving him life. Or maybe some entity made a trade. Her life, for his. When he mentioned silhouettes trying to consume him, I instantly got flashbacks to Fullmetal Alchemist, the 2003 anime. Those beings beyond the gate tearing people apart piece by piece. Anyway, strong story. I liked it. Story 2. I've always hated hotels. Dirty carpets. Dirty beds. Dirty bathrooms. A germaphobe's nightmare. Next time you stay in a hotel, think about it. You have no idea who was there before you, or what they did on that mattress. You could find out, technically. Just bring a UV light. But I'm getting off track. As much as I hate hotels, I always end up in them. Family trips. Work conferences. Every 3 months, a new one. I first heard about the Gateway Hotel when my boss emailed me on Thursday, more like ordered me, to attend a merger conference in Oregon. I sighed. Another cross-country flight to please the biggest jerk alive. At least the pay was good. Just past midnight, I pushed open the creaking door to room 415. At first glance, it was an ordinary hotel room. I dropped my luggage by the kitchenette and flopped onto the bed. Then I noticed the painting. A blonde woman in a bright red dress. She was beautiful. But something was wrong. Her arms were twisted unnaturally behind her back. She stood as if about to lunge out of the frame. Her face was distorted by rage, yet she smiled. Every tooth visible. Too white. Her eyes followed me as I approached. Why would a hotel hang something like that? I shook my head, removed the painting, turned it around, and leaned it against the wall. I didn't want it watching me while I slept. When I sat back down, something crinkled beneath me. A pale blue sheet of paper. Welcome to the Gateway Hotel. It listed rules. No moving furniture. No sexual activity. No leaving your room between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. If the phone rings at 4:14 a.m., do not answer. If you hear a child crying for help in the hallway between 3 and 4 a.m., do not look through the peephole. If you see a maid with long blonde hair in a red uniform staring at you, look away. Our uniforms are light blue. If you see a button labeled B2 in the elevator, do not press it. There is no second basement. Do not enter room 414. Even if someone inside calls your name. What the hell? Some idiot employee's prank. I checked the clock. Almost 12:30 a.m. Not worth bothering the front desk. I crawled under the stiff beige blanket. The blue paper lay crumpled on the floor. I didn't want to admit it, but I felt uneasy. Then I realized. I had already broken Rule 1. I removed the painting. I sat up slowly and looked at the wall. Even in the darkness, I could see it. The painting was back. The woman was closer. Her face more twisted than before. I lay down immediately and shut my eyes. I won't touch it again. Probably just paranoia. Sleep deprivation. But I'm too scared to check. It's 1:12 a.m. I can't sleep. I think I just heard something tap on the window. I'm on the 4th floor. I still can't process what happened last night in this cursed hotel. But I'll try to recount everything in order. I didn't want to relive it by writing this down. But I feel obligated. If this stops even one person from booking a room at the Gateway Hotel, then at least my conscience will be clear. I edited my last post about an hour after publishing it, frozen in bed beneath that cheap hotel blanket at 11 p.m. That's when I heard the tapping. On the window. I really didn't want to get up and check. But I had to prove to myself it was just a tree branch. Wind. Something normal. I slid out of bed and crept through the darkness toward the curtains. I refused to look at the painting on the wall. I didn't want to see her again. I knew she was still there. I could feel her watching me as I crossed the room. The tapping continued, rhythmic. Patient. My fingers wrapped around the curtain. I yanked it aside before I could hesitate. God, I wish I had hesitated. A grotesque man's face stared back at me from outside the fourth-floor window. His skin looked rotten, sagging from bone. And then, he smiled. Yellow-brown teeth. Sunken eyes locking onto mine. A long, filthy nail tapped lightly against the glass, attached to a shriveled, twisted hand. There was no balcony. Nothing for him to stand on. Unless he was some nightmare version of Spider-Man. I screamed. I actually screamed. Fell backward onto the carpet. I scrambled for the phone and dialed the front desk number taped to the receiver. Front desk, Gateway Hotel. How may I assist you? There's a man outside my window. He's tapping on the glass. I'm on the 4th floor. A pause. Please refer to the list of rules provided in your room. If you read Rule 8, you'll see that you were instructed to keep the blinds closed at night. I am on the 4th floor. That has never stopped them from looking in. My blood ran cold. Please ignore further tapping. Now that you've acknowledged them, they will likely continue all night. Remember to follow the rest of the rules carefully. Good night, ma'am. Click. Silence. I slammed the phone down and grabbed the crumpled blue paper, smoothing it out, rereading every word again and again. At 1:46 a.m., the tapping resumed. It didn't stop until my 4 a.m. alarm nearly made me scream again. At 4:13, I exhaled in relief. Then the room phone rang. The clock flipped to 4:14. I bolted. The next night was worse. At 1:54 a.m., someone started pounding on my door. I couldn't open it. I couldn't look through the peephole. The rules were clear. The pounding stopped exactly at 2 a.m. At 3:02 a.m., I heard it. A child's voice in the hallway. Mommy. My blood froze. The crying grew closer. Mama. Mama. 2 shadows blocked the light under my door. A soft knock. Excuse me, ma'am. Can you help me find my mommy? I'm lost. How did it know I was a ma'am? I stayed silent. Ma'am, please. I'm scared. I clenched my teeth and didn't move. 20 minutes later, I heard sniffling. Then retreating footsteps. Relief lasted exactly 24 minutes. At 3:24 a.m., the window tapping started again. This time, I didn't look. I packed my suitcase instead. At 4:14 a.m., the phone did not ring. At 10 a.m., I stepped into the hallway. Room 414 was closed. I made it halfway to the elevator when I heard a lock click open behind me. I turned. Room 414 was open. A blonde maid in a red uniform stood beside the doorway. I recognized her instantly. She was the woman from the painting. The same twisted smile. The same white teeth. Hands hidden behind her back. If you see a maid in red, look away. I looked away. Reached for the elevator. If she blocks your path, take the stairs. I yanked my hand back and ran for the stairwell. As I reached the bottom, I heard the stairwell door open above me. She will not pursue you unless you make prolonged eye contact. Oh God! Had I looked too long? I threw my key onto the front desk counter. Hope you enjoyed your stay, one clerk said cheerfully. Room 414 is open, I muttered. I got into the car I'd ordered. The parking lot was almost empty. 2 cars. They'd told me the hotel was fully booked. I'd never seen another guest. As the car pulled away, I looked back once. Just once. In a 4th-floor window, something red moved. It looked like it was waving. The car turned the corner, and the hotel disappeared. She will take it as an invitation. God, I hope I didn't look too long. How far can she follow? I really hope I never find out. Commentary on Story 2. Now this is a good rules story. It originally came in 3 parts, but I merged them into one, obviously. And yeah, this one works. Sure, it follows the classic structure. Someone finds a list of strange rules, thinks, what is this, some kind of joke? And then weird, demonic stuff starts happening exactly as described in the rules. You're supposed to follow them, but you inevitably break one, and then you're punished for it. It's a trope. A classic one. But at least this story is well written. You can tell it wasn't written by a 13-year-old. Maybe 15, but still. It feels more believable. More polished. More emotionally engaging. Alive, even. And not stupid. Earlier, I don't even know if I'll upload it, I recorded another 2-part rules story. Absolute cringe. I was genuinely heated while recording the commentary. The emotional temperature skyrocketed. That one was just terrible. At least in my opinion. But this? This one holds up. Some people say the Lighthouse Keeper rules story on my channel is the best one I've ever posted. And hey, maybe for them it is. Story 3. Ever since I was a child, our family followed one rule. Always move in the order of left, right. To outsiders it sounds strange. But to me and my 6 siblings, it was normal. Whether it was stepping left, then right, or arranging things from left to right in the closet, it didn't matter. Mom and Dad always said it was important. Everywhere we went, there were people in white shirts and green baseball caps. They stood in the rooms of our house. Watched us from the backyard. Stood in doorways during dinner to make sure we ate from the left side of our plates to the right. They had smooth, plastic faces. No mouths. Just 2 unblinking eyes. As a child, I wasn't afraid of them. We never talked about them. Once my older brother Otis asked about them. Mom changed the subject. It just became normal. Left. Right. For years, it was just another household rule. Until this morning. We were playing in the backyard. One of them stood in the upstairs window watching us. Nothing unusual. The sky was gray. Everything looked like an old black and white movie. One more circle before school, Dad said. He took my left hand and reached for Mila's with his right. We sang softly, jumping in a circle. Whoever gets inside last is a rotten egg. Mila shouted, hopping toward the house, left foot first. Dad grabbed my arm and hopped after her. I looked down at our feet. I always loved watching how perfectly we stepped together. Left. Right. But this time, his steps didn't match mine. That was impossible. He must have stepped with his right first. I laughed. Dad, you stepped with your right. You silly girl. I'm telling Mom. We all laughed. But he didn't. His face looked horrified. We told him we wouldn't tell Mom. We could keep a secret. Maybe we could get ice cream after dinner if we stayed quiet. He wasn't listening. He looked up at the upstairs window. The watcher was gone. Heavy mechanical footsteps echoed from inside the house. The one from the window appeared at the bottom of the stairs. Another stepped out of the kitchen closet. Another emerged from the bushes. All of them walking toward Dad. Left. Right. One grabbed his wrist. "Run to your rooms." Dad screamed. "Don't come out until I say." A plastic hand covered his mouth. A brown sack was thrown over his head. They dragged him into the yard. His body thrashed inside the sack. One of them turned back toward us. Snapped his fingers. Darkness. That's all I remember. That's all any of us remember. We woke up sitting in a circle around the same brown sack in the backyard. It felt ritualistic. It was evening. Dinner's ready. Mom called cheerfully from the porch. We looked at each other. Through the window, I saw Dad sitting at the table. Was that him? When we entered, he was sitting upright. Arms straight at his sides. A bandage wrapped tightly around his head, covering his mouth. Blood streaked down his neck. His forehead looked almost plastic. His eyes were closed. "Wash your hands before eating. Left first, then right," Mom said with a smile. "It's late now. Maybe 1 or 2 in the morning. Mila and I are under the blanket." We can hear loud, distorted wheezing from the kitchen. Dad is still sitting at the table. We checked an hour ago. The wheezing sounds wrong. Like it's coming from somewhere deep inside him. I want to take off the bandage. But I know. It's not the bandage keeping him from speaking. My siblings are whispering in the dark. None of us will sleep tonight. Especially with that man standing in the doorway. Watching us more closely than ever. Commentary on Story 3. So that's the last one. Short. Creepy. Completely unclear. It's abstract. You don't really understand what's happening. Maybe the mother plays the same role the father did. Maybe those wax-like plastic people are some kind of overseers. At first, I thought the kids were being fed human meat. Maybe those plastic-faced figures were leftovers of previous family members. Maybe they turn rule breakers into those mannequins. When they dragged the dad away, I thought that was it. Then he's sitting at the table later, lifeless. And the kids were sitting around the sack in the yard earlier. What happened? Did they turn him into one of them? Did Mom cook something from him to avoid breaking the rules? It's abstract. Open-ended. You fill in the blanks yourself. The creepiest part is that it's told from a child's perspective. And those distorted wheezing sounds. What was that? A recording placed inside him? Something still alive in there? I don't know. Very unsettling. Very open. Very abstract. But effective. And that's it for today, guys. What did you think of the stories overall? Did you like them? Not like them? Why? Let me know in the comments. That's all for today. See you in the next video. Thanks again for watching. Bye.